What's up, guys? Welcome back to Spoiling Movies Under the Green Hood. My name is Chris, and I'm going to talk all about a movie, and I'm going to spoil it and tell you every little thing that happened. Today's movie is one that I've seen a bunch of times, and I just recently rewatched it, and it's still great. It's Dumb and Dumber! A limo drives past a woman standing on a sidewalk, and the limo kind of goes, "Ert!" and then backs up. The back window rolls down, and Jim Carrey sticks his goofy head out the window, and he's talking to this lady, this pretty girl. He's like, "I'm looking for the college. I'm supposed to be doing a lecture in about an hour, and my driver's a bit lost." And she's like, "You take a left over the bridge." And he's like, "That's a lovely accent you have there. New Jersey?" And she's like, "Austria." "Austria! Well then, g'day, mate. Let's put another shrimp on the barbie." She walks away and just gets his head back in the window, and then inside the car you see him climb back into the front seat because he's the driver and there's no one else in the car. He was just pretending that he was in the limo. There's great opening music. It's like, and then you see Jeff Daniels' character in a car that looks like a dog, and Jeff Daniels has gotten a bunch of hot dogs from a local hot dog place, and he's giving them to the dogs, and he's like calling out the dogs like, "Who got the wiener schnitzel?" And he gives it to the dog. "There you go, there you go." Some guy calls him and he's like, "Where are you? You're supposed to be here a while ago." And he's like, "I'm on my way." So he starts driving really crazy and fast and jumping over hills and stuff, and he gets to the place and the dogs are all covered in ketchup and mustard and shit, and the lady's all pissed. Jim Carrey gets to the place where he's supposed to pick up somebody. It's this big fancy mansion, and Lauren Holly, the actress Lauren Holly, comes to the door. Jim Carrey immediately falls in love with her, so he gets out some breath spray, and he's like, and it like sprays the wrong direction. He's like, so you find out Jim Carrey's character, his name is Lloyd Christmas, and he's taking Mary, the actress Lauren Holly, her name is Mary, he's taking her to the airport, and there's a nice funny scene where he's talking to her, and he's like, "I got worms." She's like, "Excuse me?" He's like, "I'm going to open a worm store. We're going to specialize in worm farms." And then he thinks she's a little nervous about the flight. So he turns around and he's like, "Really, there's nothing to worry about, Mary. Statistically, you're more likely to get killed on the way to the airport, like in a car crash." And she's like, "Could you watch the road, please?" And he's like, "Oh, good thinking. Can't be too careful. A lot of bad drivers out there." So he gets her to the airport. He's saying goodbyes, sending her off. And he's like, "How about a hug?" He gives her a big creepy hug, and "I hate goodbyes." She says something to him, and he puts his finger on her lips, like, "No, just go." And she walks away like, "What the fuck?" As he's slowly driving away, he sees her in the window in the airport, and he looks out and he's driving, and he's like, "Goodbye, my luck." He immediately crashes. And has airbags in his face. He sees that she left her briefcase on the ground through the window, and he's like, "Mary!" Some criminal type people show up, and they're like, "She's supposed to leave the briefcase by the escalator." They see that she's left the briefcase lying there on the ground. They're about to pick it up. Jim Carrey comes sliding in between them, grabs the briefcase, just starts running. He goes to where her plane has already taken off, and he's running out there. Some guy's like, "You can't go in there." And he's like, "It's okay. I'm a limo driver." And he falls off the pathway in between the airport and the where the plane is. Harry has gotten fired because he has, because of the dog. The dog's getting all messy, and Jim Carrey has been fired because he fell off the jetway at the airport, being an asshole. But he still got her briefcase. But the criminals have followed him to their place because they think they're working with somebody, so they're gonna kind of stake him out a little bit. So Lloyd is like, "I lost my job today." Harry is Jeff Daniels' character name, and he says, "I lost my job too." And Jim Carrey's like, "Oh man, you are one pathetic loser. No offense." So then criminal people come to the door, and they knock on it. They look out the peephole. Jim Carrey sees that one of the guys has a gun, and he's like, "Harry, did you pay the gas bill?" He grabs his face. "Do you realize what you've done?" So they like sneak out the window and get out of there. And the criminals come inside their place, and they're looking around, and they're like, "What the hell's going on in here?" They got a big worm farm. He's like, I think we should trash the place and send him a message. And the lady criminal's like, "I don't think they're gonna get that message, dude. There's worms in the living room." So criminal guy like walks up to the bird cage. They've got a bird there. And he's like, "Yeah, I thought a buddy died." And then the screen cuts. So they decide they're gonna go to where Mary was headed on the plane. She was going to Aspen. So Lloyd takes the last of the money that they had with them, and he's like, "Just get the essentials." He's like, I know what I'm doing. And then the next scene, Jim Carrey's got a giant comical cowboy hat, string on the ball, paddle ball things, and just a box of stupid shit. There's like the spin wheel things and all kinds of like stupid shit in this box. And he's gonna get like a swimsuit catalog or something in one of those newspaper box things. And so he like reaches in with his big box of shit and he grabs it, and he realizes he's left his wallet inside the machine, and he doesn't have any change to like get his wallet back out of it. So this old lady pulls up on a little motorized scooter thingy. He's like, "Excuse me, could you wait here while I go break $1? Just look after all this crap I just bought?" And she's like, "Yeah, sure. You know, it's true what they say. Senior citizens, although slow and dangerous behind the wheel, can still serve a purpose. Huh. Don't you go dying on me." He walks off and she's like... So then they get back to the apartment, and he's like, "I got robbed by a sweet old lady on a motorized cart. I didn't even see it coming. The bird is dead." And he's like, "Oh no, what happened to Petey? Petey the bird?" And Harry says his head fell off. Yeah, he was getting pretty old. Lloyd's like, "We got no food, we got no job, our pets' heads are falling off. We gotta get out of this town." Lloyd is eating some snacks, and he's like, Harry's like, "Where'd you get the money for those snacks?" And Lloyd's like, "I sold some stuff, you know, like baseball cards, a sack of marbles." "Petey, I sold it to that kid that's in the other place in our building." And he's like, "You sold my dead bird to a blind kid?" And he's like, "Yeah." Yeah. Blind kid in a wheelchair, and he's petting the bird, and it's just taped like a bunch of duct tape around the bird's neck, and the kid's just petting the bird. "Pretty bird." And the criminal people come back to the apartment, and there's a note on the door. It says, "Sorry, gas man, about the bill. These guys are good. How the hell do they know that I got gas?" So while they're on the road trip, they stop at a diner on the side of the highway. They're kind of being dicks to the waitress a little bit. Lloyd says, "What's the soup du jour?" And she's like, "It's the soup of the day." And he's like, "That sounds good. I'll have that." And then Harry spills the salt shaker on the table. And he's like, "That's bad luck. We're on the road. We don't need bad luck. Take it and throw it over your right shoulder." And so he takes the salt shaker and just fucking flings the whole thing. And it hits this giant trucker guy, and he's like, "What the fuck?" And he gets up, comes over to the table. "You gonna eat that?" He's like, "Yeah, well, I was thinking about it, yeah." And he like opens up the burger. And he spits a nasty ass loogie right on the burger. Lloyd goes up to the front when they're checking out, paying their bill. By the way, the big guy's name was Seabass. They were like, "Kick his ass, Seabass!" Lloyd says, "Seabass and the fellows said they were going to pick up our tab." So they're in the van, heading down the highway again. "Oh, that was a brilliant thing that you thought of to do back there. Where'd you get an idea like that?" So, like, he's like, "I saw it in a movie once." And he's like, "Oh, so some people just have some sucker pick up the check and get away scot-free?" And he's like, "No, in the movie, they catch up a half-mile down the road and slit his throat." It was a good one. So then Lloyd has to pee, and he's got a bunch of empty beer bottles, so he starts peeing in beer bottles, and he keeps going, so he's filling up a whole bunch of bottles, having Harry hold it. Harry's trying to drive, but he's holding these bottles of piss, and he's still pissing and shit. And a cop sees that they're speeding, and a cop comes and pulls him over, and it's Harland Williams. He's like, "Oh, you fellas been doing a bit of boozing, have you? Sucking back in Grandpa's old cough medicine?" And he's like, no, that's not what that is." And he's like, "Give me one of those. Give me one of those beers." And he's like, "No, I don't think you should." And he's like, "Give me one of them, you pumpkin pie hair-cutted freak." So he gives him one of the beers that's full of piss, and he takes a drink, and he's like, "Get the hell out of here!" So then we find out that Mary was leaving the briefcase because her husband has been kidnapped, and that was supposed to be the ransom for the criminals. Some guy that is like a friend of the family is trying to help them get the husband back. Lloyd is driving, and he has like a little daydream kind of thing. He starts thinking about Mary and what their life would be like together, and then some music plays. Like in his head, they're at some kind of party, some winter party gathering with a bunch of friends, and he's being the life of the party, and he's telling jokes, and she says, "Do you love me?" And he says, "No, but that's a real nice ski mask." And everybody fucking cracks up, and he's doing stupid shit, and everybody loves him. He's the fucking... And then the next dream sequence, they're at a fancy restaurant, and the waiter is like hitting on Mary, and he's like, he's not having it. So he fucking gets up and gets all fucking karate, and like the chef shows up, and he's like ultimate karate boss villain. like he's doing all this stupid fucking shit, rips his fucking heart out. An intimate moment, and Lloyd like takes off his shirt, and Mary like undresses, and he's like, and the camera like pans down to her boobs, and there's just like big flashing lights, and he's like, what the fuck? And that's when he wakes up, because those were headlights. There's a truck coming after him, and he's fucking... So they end up stopping at some motel for the night. Criminal guy's outside the motel. He's been following him, and he's in a phone booth, and he's taking a bunch of time on the phone talking to criminal boss man, who is the guy that was, I talked about, that was trying to help Mary get her husband back. He's in on it. And this guy's talking to him, and he's like, this shit should have been done a while ago. What are you doing? And he's like, I'll take care of this. I got some fucking rat poison I'm going to give him. And there's a guy outside walking back and forth, and he's like, I need to use the phone. And it's like, what are you doing? He's banging on the door, and the guy's like, ugh, he's not even paying attention to him. And he's like, get off the phone. And in the middle, the guy just like punches through the glass and knocks him out, and it's fucking hilarious. Lloyd and Harry are back in the van on the road. Criminal guy and girl pretend that their car is broken down so that these guys will stop and pick them up and help them out so they can get rid of them. Lloyd and Harry stop, and they decide they're going to pick up this guy. They're like, we don't normally pick up hitchhikers, but we got a good feeling about you, so get in here. So they're sitting in, criminal guy's sitting in between Harry and Lloyd. They're like doing all this annoying shit and fucking like yelling in the guy's ear and fucking like playing stupid games and shit. Triple stamped it, no erases. Like, you can't triple stamp and double stamp. Lloyd, you can't triple stamp and double stamp. Lloyd, la 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 la. And he's like, guys. It's like, just turn on the radio or something. And they're like, radio? Who needs a radio? Ready, Harry? Mock, yeah, ing, yeah, bird, yeah. And he's like, they're like singing into the guy's ear. He's about to pull out the gun and fucking kill him. And then they see a bunch of Latinos on the side of the road. And he's like, hey, look, there's some more people that need a ride. And he's like, pick them up! A whole group of Latinos in the back of the van, and they've all got instruments and shit, and they're playing along, and they're like, mock, see, ing, see. So then they go to another diner place. There's a sign that says it's like the hottest food in the fucking land or whatever. And they've got atomic peppers, and so they're like daring each other to eat them in the bar area. And like, I'll dare you eat one, I'll eat one if you eat one. No, I'll eat one if you eat one. You go first. And the criminal guy's like, why don't you just do it at the same time? So they both pop a fucking atomic pepper in their mouth, and they're just like, that's not that bad. And then immediately start freaking out. Harry grabs some ketchup and mustard and goes, and he's like, take this, Harry, and Lloyd, it helps. So Harry just busts them down on the counter, and they spray up in the air, and he's getting all over his face and shit. Criminal guy goes to the bathroom. While criminal guy is in bathroom, they decide they're going to play a prank on him and put a bunch of atomic peppers inside of the burger that he ordered. Criminal guy's like, what are you guys doing out here on the road anyway? What are you doing? And he's like, oh, we're just, some lady left a briefcase at the airport, and we're just bringing it back to her. And he's like, oh, well, what a goofy thing. Talk about being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And he starts laughing, takes a bite of the burger, and he starts fucking sweating and fucking falls out of his chair, and they're like laughing at him. It turns out he had like an ulcer, and he has like special pills for it. So he's like, grab my pills, I need my pills. Lloyd is trying to save the criminal guy, and he's like, I know CPR, hold on. And he grabs like the guy's legs and starts like jamming his legs back into him, like, and then he's like, hold on, don't you die on me, buddy. And he spits a bunch of food out of his mouth, and then he goes in to get, to breathe into his mouth, and he's like pushing him back, and he's like, this is a lot easier if you just lay back.